back, everybody, to the Earbuds Podcast. The boys are back. Coming to you from the Trap Cave. We apologize for all the reverb, but that is soon gonna all go away.
The cave will stay, though.
The cave will stay, but it's gonna be like a nice, cushiony, soundproof cave. Matty G, we back.
Hurrah, hurrah.
Ben Danzig.
Good to be back.
And I myself am Yiorgos. We're going to talk about a few things today. The summer is officially over, so we're finally back in our business modes. We're not going to be all over the place. We're going to try to get back on the grind. The first thing we have to talk about is Mac Miller's recent passing. It was a really weird Friday at work when I heard that he had passed. I think my brother messaged me. And then, like, little by little, we all, like, all my friends at work, we were all going up to each other, like, did you hear? Like, did you hear about it? It was really weird. Where were you when you found out? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was at work, too. I couldn't believe he was only 26. He seemed like he'd gone through many lifetimes.
He had grown a lot over his past projects.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, I don't know. It's interesting comparing my reaction to this versus, like, XXS. Tentacion dying. Like, Mac Miller seemed like a genuinely really good dude who just had a lot of drug problems. So it's tough to see someone like that go.
And admittedly, we had a lot more history with Mac Miller, wouldn't you say, than like XXX?
Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting too, is like as teenagers we grew up with him and we were only 3 or 4 years younger than him, so we were able to relate a lot more to his music. And now there are kids that relate to X in that way, and so they're probably a little more bent out of shape about it. But whereas we're more bent out of shape with Mac, but we've also been able to see him grow with us over time and see, like, even on some of his albums, you see how, like, more out there and indie he gets with it, and how some of those problems, like, were definitely more apparent, and people just kind of not swept them under the rug, but they were never really addressed outside of his music. And I think he kind of wanted it that way, it seemed like, based on the articles I read, but
yeah,
it was a sad story.
It was interesting to see all the famous people, all the artists in the industry that were posting either videos or tweets, like, and going through all of those. The general consensus seemed to be people saying, like, people wanting to highlight what a happy person he was and how funny he was and how, like, bright and uppity he was. And people were like, don't listen to what they're saying, like he wasn't depressed, blah blah blah. But part of me wonders, like, whether that was just him hiding all of that from everyone else and just keeping it in and drinking his problems away. I don't really know. I really connected with the last couple albums.
The newest one was really good.
Yeah,
I thought, and he artistically he definitely put his best foot forward and tried to lay it out all bare, and you gotta respect him for that.
The collaboration with Thundercat also was like a big move, I think, for the sound of the whole album, because whatever that guy touches is gold, to be honest. Thundercat's pretty great.
Yeah,
it's very evident, like, the different phases of music Mac had. Like, he was into the Beatles for a while, and like that Thundercat sound on this last album, like, he's well educated in music, and definitely from, like, his first couple albums you wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, he was super fratty, appealed very much to white America. Like, he found that audience and they really loved him.
Yeah. Case in point,
this room. he sounded pretty basic to begin with, but then later on he really put his artistic self forward.
Have you guys seen the concert that they're doing for him out of Los Angeles? The lineup is crazy.
That lineup is insane.
Bronson, Paak, Chance, JID, John Mayer, like, it's the concert of all concerts.
SZA is there too.
Yeah, that's just to name a few. But I told my buddies that live out in LA, I was like, you gotta go to this show if you can swing it. But I don't think they're gonna be able to. But it'll be sick.
Yeah, it's wild. I think the legacy that he left behind is great, is like really strong in and of itself. But it's crazy to think what he could have done. Like with XXX, you would extrapolating from what he had already done. There was a lot of guesswork there, but I feel like with Mac you could really see where he was going, especially with the last 2 albums, and it's just really sad. It's just really a shame.
Yeah, it was actually interesting. The newest Logic album that was released, he has this outro on one of the tracks where he was like, he takes probably a minute and a half to just like shout out Mac Miller, and he was like, "You're an OG. Like you made me feel comfortable being a white dude rapping, even though Logic is biracial, but you know,
as we know,
yeah,
as
he shoves down our throats. But that's beside the point. But it was cool to see, you know, Logic just be like, "Hey man, like." You proved to me that I could do it. You laid the blueprint. Like I couldn't have done this without you. And that,
Sounds like
that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird to think of like white guys breaking barriers. Like that's like I think the one example I have of that in recent history.
Yeah.
Anyway.
R.I.P. Mac. We love you forever, and we'll still bump the tunes.
Oh yeah, dude. Kool-Aid and frozen pizza. Senior skip day.
Knock
James.
knock. And dang, still.
Donald Trump.
Even that. Oh, especially when Donald Trump like doesn't get reelected or whenever that happens, we're bumping that. That's gonna be great. All right, this next segment, we're gonna talk about some albums that came out while we were gone, and in order to get through these super quick, we're gonna describe how we felt about each one, or just kind of describe the album itself using emojis.
Fire.
Coming up first, because we care about it the least, Queen, the Nicki Minaj album. Maddie G, give me some emojis for that album.
I'm gonna go with a poop smiley emoji.
Okay.
Because of all, well, I feel like we should go around maybe and then we can kind of justify it.
Sure.
Okay. I would give it like a confused face and then an eggplant.
You're not going with the peach, you're going with the eggplant.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. And I would give it, I don't know if there's like a salt shaker meme, emoji, but if there is, I'd go with like salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like super salty about the whole Sales with Travis thing, which was ridiculous and just wasn't really that great of an album from what I heard. So
Well, that's the thing, and I gave it a quick listen through. The thing is, if your album, she started blaming Kylie. She was like, this auto-tuned guy, blah 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 blah. It's like, if your music wasn't as good, it didn't get the plays. You know, it's like that doesn't happen every time. Obviously, there's really artistically good albums that don't get plays.
Totally.
But you're Nicki Minaj. Like, do something about it. Fucking put your butt up on Instagram or something. Whatever you do. I mean, she tried that, I guess.
didn't her tour get canceled?
Did it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
She was supposed to go with Future, and they canceled the tour.
Oh, I did hear
I think
about
she was
that.
headlining it too.
Dude.
So that just goes to show, man. Like it wasn't just the sales. Like no one likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like people. It's weird how society just like fixates on one mainstream female rapper, and now Cardi's the hot one. So it's like people just don't care about Nicki Minaj anymore.
Did you guys see the footage of Cardi and Nicki like going at it at this event? There was this like fashion event, and it was kind of the first time that because they had both like they traded bars on different songs here and there, like subs. But then Cardi, they were at this like fashion event, and they both had like a bunch of bodyguards around them. But you see the bodyguards saying to Cardi like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And Cardi's like yelling at her. Cardi takes off her shoe and throws it.
Cardi's a
at
bad bitch.
Nicki Minaj. Yeah. And then like I'm sure the bodyguards just like pulled them apart, but yeah, that's like
I saw some memes about that, and they were making fun of like, remember when someone threw a shoe at George Bush?
Oh,
they
yeah.
like put those two videos together. So Cardi throws the shoe, and then it cuts to George Bush ducking out of the way.
Yeah, it's getting
like-
wild out here in the
Yes,
streets.
yes,
I
it
hope
is.
that the fans of hip hop and music in general will give a little bit of room for more female artists to be at the top, because we got a lot of fucking dudes at the top, and there's never like there's always conversation of who's number one right now, but yeah, with females, you're right. It seems like there can only be one, and everyone else is like indie and small. I hope SZA kind of makes her way up there, even though she's much more chill and relaxed. I don't think she cares about numbers as much.
And she's kind of a singer-songwriter as well.
Right.
She kind of fits
Yeah.
a few
Yeah.
costumes there.
Yeah,
And there's a lot more room for female artists in her sphere.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I won't speak for everyone. I didn't really listen to the album. I'm just assuming it was bad. So it's
Right.
kind of a hot take on my part.
Yeah.
I literally did not listen to it for a second, so
Yeah, sorry, Nikki.
Yeah.
That
Keep
just-
your shoes on, Nikki.
Okay, moving on. We got Astroworld, so the album that came out across from that one, I did listen to this album a lot. I would give the album like the O emoji, like the really surprised face, because it really surprised me in a very positive way.
I would do a combination of the head exploding emoji and the monocle emoji.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'd give it the red 100.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then I'd give it like a sad one as well.
Okay. Why the? I gotta
Let's
ask,
start with
why,
that then.
why the sad one?
The sad one is just it's just like, not even in a negative way. It's just like got a gloomy feel to it. It's like, I don't know why all of Travis Scott's songs sound like he's just like sitting in a corner having sex with bad bitches and like sipping lean, like in a very gloomy way.
Yeah.
But then he's also a badass at the same time.
I feel like Stop Trying to Be God was a crazy vibe. It blew me away. Like, talking about sad and more mellow songs. Like, that's one of those where I was like, okay, he can move at this speed. I didn't know this. And the Stevie Wonder harmonicas and the Kid Cudi, which is his thing, I guess. It was really good. You gave it the monocle emoji?
Yeah, just because I thought the production was so out of left field for him. I was expecting more like Birds in the Trap, which was just like pretty trappy, and like this I didn't get that vibe so much. There was trap in there, but it was a little more filtered throughout with other things. Like, you talk about kind of it being like pretty spooky and grim, like 5 tints when it starts off with that piano.
Yeah.
It's like doom doom doom
Oh,
doom.
yeah.
Like, I love that song. It's like, who's that creeping up
From a window.
yeah. Like, I love that. I think it's so cool. The thing about this album is, like, I appreciate it a whole lot. I don't know how much of a re-listen value it has for me, but I do think it's one of the best albums of the year.
Actually,
for sure.
speaking of re-listening, yesterday I just, like, it was late. I had just gotten back from, like, I was at the bar with friends from work, and Houston Fornication popped into my head, and I just put that on before I fell asleep, and I just, like, dove into those vibes. It's like you're swimming in, like, this sea of vibes. Just, it was amazing. It, like, really just, like, put me to sleep. It was great.
Yeah. I'm bummed I'm not seeing him on tour. I feel like that show is going to be a lot of fun.
Dude, my brother and I are going to that show. We shelled, well, it was $80 for the tickets. We're like way in the back. But so as far as tickets go, it's like kind of normal. But of course, the floor tickets were crazy. And I don't know if I'd want to be on the floor in a Travis Scott show.
No. He's a showman. You'd want to see that from far away.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I'm not the kind of guy that enjoys mosh pits. You know what I mean? And he even says on this album, it in a mosh pit if there ain't no injuries or something. I'm like, I'd rather watch that from afar, from in the far back.
Have you ever moshed?
I haven't been a part of a good one.
You
but-
should mosh sometime.
Yeah. Highly recommend it.
I've been thinking about going to a metal show at some point.
I'm
There's some
down.
people at work who are really into metal, and I just want to experience it. I think that would be so much fun.
I'm down.
It's just like a pure stream of energy for like 2 hours. It's like a workout.
My friends in college almost got me to go to a metal show. It was pretty great. Anyway, Astroworld, very much surprising how Travis like really brought it on this one, I think. And I'm really excited to see what he does next. If he did another Birds in the Trap, I'd be like, okay, that's all he had to offer. That was it. But now, seeing and hearing this, I hope that he actually goes somewhere else.
You know what's really weird to me is like, I didn't listen to it super duper closely. I feel like he barely ever mentions like Kylie being a part of his life. Like, he has that line, he's like, baby mama, like, cover Forbes list, got these other bitches scared.
shook. Yeah.
But the entire thing's like about like him still getting bitches, and it's like, and Kanye does that too, where it's like, aren't you gonna reference your wife? Or, like, I guess Travis and Kylie aren't married, but, like, aren't you going to reference your significant other? It just
baby
feels
mama.
really weird to me.
Your baby's mom
It's
at
really,
this point.
really...
Like,
How does she listen to that? And it's like, yay! You're
they're kind of...
I think they're almost so invested in like appealing to the consumer. Like us as kind of hip hop heads, we were more interested in the whole story, but people just want to hear like, you know, that kind of shit. like banging bitches and
Coffee
sipping
Bean,
lean and doing crazy.
The
things.
last song on the album is called Coffee Bean, and apparently he calls her Coffee Bean. So that whole song was dedicated to her. And then like Kanye had Bound 2, so I guess they're happy with like their one shout out on the album, the one entire song that's about them. He had a couple more references to her peppered through there, I guess, like other than that one. But yeah, you're right. It seems like
Kendrick has more references to those girls than their actual husbands and boyfriends do.
yeah.
Weird.
All right, next up. The Carter 5. Actually, no. Let's go to Kamikaze, which came out before the Carter 5. So, Eminem's new album, Eminem's new album, after the bad one, he came out with a good one. Oh, emojis. I'm kind of inclined to just give it the rocket emoji. Partly because of the cover art, but because he just, like, went in.
I'd go with like a surprised emoji with the rosy red cheeks. Because it was like, it caught me off guard in a good way for some of the album, but some of it I was like, this is, a little much at times. I can get into it, but.
I think I'd just, I'd give it like the rage face.
Ooh,
Because it's just like.
Born from rage.
He's just angry at everything.
Yeah. So, it seems like that's kind of where he does his best. And part of me, when it came out, I was like, did he make a bad album on purpose so everyone could shit on him and then he would have a reason to fire back? Of course, he'd never do that. But it seems like that's kind of what happened. There were so many tracks on this one that were great. The one with, Joyner Lucas.
I fucking love that one.
Such a good
So
song.
Massachusetts boy.
Yeah.
Rapping.
Yeah. It's
Repping
from
it.
Lowell, right?
Worcester.
Worcester.
So dope. So dope. The music video for that was pretty cool too. Yeah. I mean, and there was the beef also, the MGK Eminem beef, which it's funny. A lot of people like didn't really know what was going on. Like a lot of the people that just listened to mainstream music, they were like, MGK, who? Like, what's
Oh,
this?
really?
Yeah.
I saw a lot of references to that from people who weren't like super duper into rap.
But I feel like they probably don't know that much about him. They probably know he exists. But he hasn't been really relevant for like years. Like since we were probably at the beginning of college and high school. So like
the
4 or 5 years ago.
The disc video he made did get a lot of views. So it got like 80 million. I do kind of want to look this up.
I probably contributed like 15 of those.
Dude. I also replayed that video a bunch. Like the beat is really good. I don't know. It really got me. It was really catchy.
Yeah, I haven't listened to an MGK song for probably like 4 years.
131 million views, dude. And I wonder how much Killshot has. So Killshot, for those who don't know, was the Eminem response. I assume the people that are listening to this already know. Ooh, 141 million views. It's like just above it. That's kind of crazy.
I'm
MGK's
surprised.
was so better.
I'm surprised he doesn't have more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, if you compare it to their numbers, like for Eminem, 141 isn't that much.
Not at all.
But then for MGK, it's like a big number. I wonder if he has.
That's what makes me almost think it's an inside job because it's like why else would Eminem do that? Because it's not like helping him out.
Machine Gun Kelly's like paying Eminem like behind the scenes.
That's almost like disappointing to me. I feel like people would be like, "Oh, a diss track, like let me eat that up, nom," and like watch it hundreds of millions of times beyond that, like closer to 2 million or so.
I mean, MGK does have the leg up that like his is a video too, whereas Eminem didn't want to dignify this whole thing with a video. He was just like, "Nope, I'm just releasing a track," and he made fun of Machine Gun Kelly for like recording a whole entire video. No one does that. Like,
but it's such a low budget video too. It's like,
but like MGK knew that this was his chance to get his face out there. You know what I mean? It shows someone that's completely desperate for eyeballs, which is exactly what happened. But
I would say Eminem looks more desperate in this whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. So? Yeah, because he's being nitpicky and like taking swings at people for things that happened in 2012. Like if that's not petty, I don't know what is.
That's fair.
Granted, It's fun. I do enjoy Eminem in a corner now because now it's like Gran Torino almost. Like he's like the cranky old man on the block, and he just comes out swinging at people, and it's great. Like I feel like that's where he's at.
Get off my lawn.
Yiorgos is shaking his fist.
Get off my lawn, kids.
This kind of goes back to a conversation we had a while ago where it's like, do shitty things have to happen to artists in order to make compelling music? And nothing shitty's really happened to Eminem. He was so compelling when his life was like, you know, being a drug addict and having an abusive girlfriend and, you know, a terrible home life and like trying to take care of his daughter. And like now his life is stable and he has nothing to talk about. He's just like, man, I'm mad at these trap rappers, like, and let's go through the Twitter archives and see what I can dig up, like.
But he did make a fair point. Did you guys watch that like 4-part interview with Sway?
No.
He had Sway interview him, which is like kind of it's like having your best friend interview you.
Yeah, full of loaded.
Yeah. Very much like, you know, very easy, like low ball, softball, what are they called? Softball questions. He said at one point that it's like when you're on the pedestal and when you're on top, everyone's like firing at you because it costs nothing to them, and then of course you're not going to respond because then you're putting them up on a pedestal that's way higher than they should be. And he just got sick and tired of like everyone fucking going at him. Like he talked about the Tyler the Creator tweeted like, "Oh dude, this is horrible," when Revival came out. It was Revival, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And that he was like really hurt by that because like they were cool, blah blah blah. And it's like you don't just like say that about someone you're cool with, which I kind of disagree. I think you can be friends with someone and still point out that something they made wasn't good, but maybe Tyler didn't do it in the nicest way. But then of course going and calling him the F word isn't really right. True.
Like Tyler just says mean things out loud, but it's clear that there's a layer of humor to it.
He has that I don't give a fuck attitude. But then going and calling him the F word on a track seems a little bit much. And Eminem himself said that he didn't really like that.
Yes, but Tyler also uses that a lot. And I almost felt like it was an homage to like him knowing Tyler's lyricism because like on Tyler's old shit, he says that like every song. All the time.
That's interesting.
So like for me, I was kind of like, I almost took it as a like, you know, a tip of the cap. But I still don't think, it wasn't in the best way, but there was also another meaning there.
I feel like over the past decade, like the meaning of that word and a few words has changed a lot, especially amongst liberal crowds. But the more interesting story to me was, oh no, I'm forgetting his name. Who's the guy who had vocals on that song? Don't follow my fate.
Oh, Bon Iver.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Bon Iver. So he said that, which great hook by the way. It's like a nice, creepy, scary hook.
Bon Iver never disappoints on the hooks.
He's great. And it's cool that he's in the hip hop world and he's like collaborating with people left and right. But he said in a tweet or something that he went in the studio. Eminem wasn't there. The producers were there, Mike Will and someone else, and he just recorded that. They didn't tell him what song it was gonna be on, or maybe they told him it was gonna be on another song. And then he heard on the album that it was on that song with the F word in it. He was like, I don't like this, take it off. But they wouldn't, of course.
Damn.
So he asked them to take his vocals off of that song because he felt uncomfortable with it, which I found interesting.
Yeah, Frank's got that same thing going on with, not Silhouette, what's it called? Off in Astro World. Carousel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was like, I don't want my vocals on this. And he's like, I don't know if he's going to court about it, but...
Do we know why?
No.
Carousel's such a banger.
Yeah, that's why I'm upset.
Mostly because of Frank's vocals.
Yeah.
Like when he goes wild, when he starts singing loud. Oh, that's interesting.
Not to get too off topic, just wanted to make
we did just talk about that album. So Kamikaze overall, we liked it. Should Eminem keep making music? Should he just end on this note? I feel like he will. Like
he's not going to stop. I'm still gonna listen to his new albums, but I would, if I was a betting man, I probably won't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should take a really long hiatus.
Mm-hmm. Like Tribe Called Quest.
Sell all of his belongings and just start over. Start his life.
Just get poor again.
Dude, just like I want him to, move to like Peru and just live in like a hut doing ayahuasca for a couple of years.
I mean that's where people go with things though. Like when you're so high up there and you need more inspiration, it's like, you know, where else do artists turn to than to, you know, just do drugs? Because like, but now he's been sober for like years, so he just, you know, he's in between a rock and a hard place as far as inspiration's concerned. I feel like.
Yeah, listen up, kids. Do drugs.
If you want to be creative and come up with ideas, the only way to do it is hard drugs. No alcohol.
Yep.
No marijuana.
Nope.
Just go straight to the
good stuff.
Ayahuasca.
The good stuff. This message was sponsored by earbuds.
Great.
Cut that.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of drugs, let's talk about the Carter 5. I would give that album, what would I...
A 5?
I'm hard pressed. Yeah, no, I wouldn't give it a 5.
Out of 5? Out of 6?
Out of 5 out of 6 maybe. I was actually very impressed because I didn't know that Lil Wayne was good. I kept hearing things. You had told me before, Matty G, I know, you told me, but I realized I had only heard his pop hits. So I only heard his worst stuff. You know what I mean? Like the druggy, I just do a lot of drugs, man. And he has good flows on this album. He talks about some really interesting things. He's a storyteller on Mona Lisa, and then on the next track, he's like super sad and somber. Like left and right, he's very multifaceted, and I didn't know this. Surprised emoji again, I guess.
Yeah, surprised emoji. I was gonna comment on that, but now I'll go to my emoji. I would go with like clapping hands. That emoji. I was impressed. I felt like it was a little long, but like overall, I feel like the like 6+ year hiatus from music, whether he wanted that or not, was almost good for him because he was able to convey a lot of different emotion throughout the album. Like you said, I felt like it was a strong performance for Wayne for someone that can be so shallow on a lot of his tracks.
That's fair.
Is there a double cup emoji out there?
There should be.
You can just do 2 cups.
You can make it.
Yeah. We'll do 2 cups because
2 cups.
At this point, we're just waiting for Lil Wayne to die.
It's
right around the corner.
He's still keeping like the same look and balding too. So he's like, his hairline's like almost in half, and he still has the dreads.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg is kind of on that vibe too.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm more okay with Snoop doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Snoop feels a little bit older, I think.
I feel like he's just more in touch with the community, and he just looks so old.
Yeah.
Wayne's more recent.
He's acting a little more his age too. He's chill. He's like, all right, just don't fuck with me because I'll fucking snap your bones, but I'm also chilling. Whereas Lil Wayne like really seems like he's still trying to be like Justin Bieber, fucking young, hip
trying
guy.
to be relevant, still drinking lean.
Yeah.
I mean, Snoop Dogg's been domesticated for a while now. He's like, I saw him on like Nick Jr. one day when I like.
He's
making a cookbook with Martha Stewart that's dropping later this year. So.
He's entered that phase of his career, which is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
But there were some cool features on the album. He had his daughter on there, Reginae Carter.
She was pretty good.
Decent vocals. I thought the sentiment was nice, though. I actually watched a documentary recently where they were interviewing her and she was like 10, and it was kind of sad at the time because he was still like the Carter 3 had just dropped, and she was like loves her dad, and they were like, oh, what would you want? Like, what would you want from your dad the most? And she was like, just for him to be around. So that was like, it was crushing to watch, but like it seems like things are better with them, so that's kind of cool.
That's nice.
Yeah, little tidbit.
The track with Kendrick was okay. It was great storytelling, but
I didn't like the hook that much.
I wasn't crazy. Yeah, the hook was... it was very much a non-hook, but like... I don't know, what was the point of that whole story? It was just a story. Like, there wasn't really a point to it. It was good storytelling, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some stories just need to be told, and, you come up with whatever lessons you want out of it.
Here's what I did want to mention about this album, and we briefly talked about this, that Kendrick and Travis's features sounded like they were recorded years ago. Not like because of the recording quality, but like the way they're rapping. So Kendrick sounds like Good Kid, Mad City Kendrick, or just before To Pimp a Butterfly Kendrick. The way he's doing the crying voice and the all that kind of stuff. And then Travis sounds like he's actually using a flow that he later must have used on Quavo Huncho.
Huncho Jack.
Huncho Jack. Yeah, that one.
Oh, God.
That thing. It was the na 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 na, I think. And he used it like which is lit, of course. But it was like candy is candy, you know what I mean? I'll eat candy corn all day, but it's like, wait a minute, I've had this before. I thought you were giving me something different, but no.
Yeah, it's fine. Rappers reuse flows all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like telling someone Santa's
Gas!
real.
Santa isn't real? Okay, and then I think we can move away from the albums now. We can talk about, now we can go a little bit more in-depth on an album called Iridescence. Our favorite boys are back.
Oh.
They confused us a little bit. They gave us a little bit of a little fake out with those singles they were dropping. They were dropping all the singles with the years in their names. Tanya was first. Actually, Tanya didn't have a year in its name, did it?
Nope.
Well, that's on this album.
Yeah, it did end up on this album, but they dropped that one first on TV, and then there were like 2 or 3 that came out after that, but then they were like, nope, we're in Abbey Road now, and we're gonna record this album. How did you feel about Iridescence, Ben?
Oh man, I really really liked it. It's like, it's just so much fun. I think the production is amazing. Like, I think the production has just been top notch since, Saturation 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they do things that you just would never hear. They like mess around with distorting Kevin Abstract's voice, and even though he's the one who sings most of the hooks, it sounds like they can do everything in-house because he can sound like 15 different people.
Yeah. That's
like,
so true.
It's crazy. So I think I just never get bored with these guys. I like that their songs aren't just okay, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, done, next song, same thing. It's just like, okay, here's a verse from one guy, and it's like a very short verse, and then we'll have like the first chorus, and then we'll have another chorus later in the song, and it's like so dynamic throughout, and just constantly keeps me engaged. I really like this album. It might be like some of my favorite stuff they've ever done, and it's really encouraging to see that they're as strong as ever. So,
Even without Amir.
even without Amir, which I was very worried about. I mean, when I first heard that he wasn't going to be a part of them moving forward, I was like, shit. I felt like the Saturation trilogy was just like a flash in the pan, for multiple reasons, just because like it seemed like they were going at a breakneck pace. It seemed like they gave it their all for half a year, and it's tough to get that many guys on the same page, whether it's like Kevin Abstract getting an individual deal, or any of those guys getting into a spat, but they seem really close, and it seems like they're not going to stop rolling anytime soon, and I like them so much that just makes me really happy.
Mad at you?
Yeah, I thought it was a super strong album overall. I think it's my favorite album of theirs as far as listening through a project all the way through. It might not be like my favorite singular songs per se, but I think it's really cool in the sense that when they're in the studio, you can tell how like young and new to what they are because they do so much. I feel like when they showed up to Abbey Road, they were like kids in a candy shop. Like Romil and everyone else producing was just like, okay, like let's just do all this crazy shit. Let's throw violins and all these other string instruments at the ends of songs, and it like they just made some like beautiful ass music in conjunction with some crazy hypey music. Like the way I've kind of thought about it is like it's great driving music all the way through. Like you've got New Orleans, you've got like Berlin, Jouvert, like songs that you can drive fast to, but then you still have your like sunset slow driving songs like Something About Him, San Marcos, Tanya, and like that's what I do is like I drive to this album, and that's why I get such good re-listen value for me. And you can just crank the shit out of it all the way through too, and just so yeah, production super on point. Wish I could have seen more of my boy Matty Champion on there. That was my one little gripe, but love the shit out of it.
Yeah,
can't say enough good
we
things
listened
about
to
it.
it here for the first time, didn't we? Like we listened to the leak before the thing came out, which maybe we shouldn't mention. But hey, whatever, it's fine. We streamed the shit out of it, so we gave them all the promo. I like that you mentioned the Kids in the Candy Shop thing because in their BBC interview, Romil said that exact thing to the girl that was interviewing them. He was like, "What's your favorite thing in the world?" And she was like, "Mac and cheese." And he was like, "Well, imagine being in the mac and cheese like museum, and they have like the first mac and cheese that was ever made, and they have all the different kinds of mac and cheese, and it's like the mac and cheese geniuses had made all the mac and cheese in that room. So like they were literally like kids in the candy shop." And in that same interview, Kevin mentioned that they like announcing projects before they've recorded anything for them, and then busting their ass to finish it, which is the reason why they recorded this album in 10 days in Abbey Road Studios, which I find very interesting. The album itself, to me, isn't my favorite Brockhampton project, I can't say, because I'm much more drawn to their chill songs. So cuts like San Marcos, going back like Gold, Rental, like cuts like that. So I think my favorite project might still be Saturation 3. Iridescence was very intense. As you said, it's a lot of like you can crank it and just drive down the road, especially with Berlin with those the car engine noises. It was super intense, but I can't knock it at all. It was super creative. I think the producers stepped up their game a lot on this album, possibly even more than the rappers and singers did. Even though this was the first album where I could tolerate Bareface, or no, I'll say I liked Bareface, because I tolerated him on the previous albums. On this album, I really, really liked him. They had him rapping a little bit, they had him singing differently, or at least he didn't just like come into the song and then all of a sudden it was a Bareface song, like it was completely different, which they used to do in the past and I didn't really like. I really liked him on this album. I agree that I wanted to hear more from Matt Champion and a little more Merlin, to be honest, even though what we did hear from him was amazing.
Sick. I thought Merlin was so good. His Tanya verse was money, man.
Tanya's so good.
Infectious.
And what's the Where the Cash At? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That song was made for him. You know what I mean? Like he's like the hype guy in the crew now. I feel like he's kind of adopted that from Amir almost. Amir not being like the hype guy necessarily, but more of the intense guy in the crew, I guess.
Yeah. Who do you guys think stepped up the most?
Most improved player award?
Yeah. And who do you think dropped off the most?
Ooh.
I mean, for me, Bareface has to be most improved because I didn't like him and now I like him. So that's for me. It's Bareface.
For the sake of a different answer, I'd probably still say Dom. I feel like Dom was way more apparent on this album. You just get way more of a scope into his life. In all my other listenings of the other Saturation projects, I couldn't recall like learning that much about him. And now I feel like I know him so much better emotionally, which I think is pretty cool. And I think that's something that these guys do very well. So it's nice to see another member in the fold there.
Yeah, I thought, Dom would probably be my answer too. Because he's captivating in certain songs. He also has verses, like you said, that let, the listeners into his life more. My one gripe with him is sometimes he gets like a little like overly like poetic. Like he's kind of saying just what he thinks will sound cool. Like
the Nicola stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little much.
Sometimes he's just like being like pseudo intellectual and just like saying things that
he compared himself to Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, I mean,
like, he gets
that's
a little Kanye shit.
He gets a little ridiculous with it, but I thought he was really good overall. And then the biggest drop off, I think by a mile, was Matt Champion because I didn't really like him that much. I didn't think he brought that much to the table. I mean, this album. So
that's fair.
That was kind of disappointing for me.
I think I would kind of disagree with you in that I think they all made steps up. I just think Matt made the fewer steps up, like he was on the bottom of that. You know what I mean?
Matt didn't like prove anything to me really.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he had some cool. He was on a few of the choruses, and I thought that was good. And I feel like he's not on a ton of choruses on the other projects, but like there were no verses where I was like, ooh, like this is a different side of Matt that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
You know.
KANYE really gets me, bro. Like, I didn't really like the live performance in terms of the rapped parts. I really loved the vocalists in the live performance, and sadly they don't shine as much on the recorded one. But the part where Kevin sings "My Life Is I, Tanya" just gives me goosebumps every time. Something about the way he sits on the beat and the way he's like kind of singing those lines, it just really gets me every time. I'm like just blasting it in the car, just like getting goosebumps. Really good album.
Yeah.
Really good album. That skit was interesting. Loophole, where the guy's talking about like, it's interesting how back in the day, like, it wasn't about the money at all. And he was like, yeah, man, I was just like, take my publicist. I don't even know what that means. And then I don't know who these people are that are talking.
I think it's Cameron, I'm pretty sure, is the guy who's talking. But I don't know anything about like his like financial, issues or anything to speak to that.
Right, because he said that at some point he realized he wasn't like making a good amount of money, and he's like, I gotta figure out the loophole. Like, why am I not making as much money, or like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought it was him and one of the guys on one of the New York rap shows, one of the hosts. I freaking forget. He's got a shaved head. Big dude, you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know.
Yeah, this is bad radio, but I don't know who it is. Either way, it's very like, I'm sure this video has been not referenced before, but
yeah, like how does that connect to Brockhampton?
I don't know. That's what I was just thinking. Like, what does that? Maybe that says something about where they're at right now. Because Kevin talks a lot about like reminiscing about when, like, before the deals, before the cosigns. He said. Which is crazy because they got a Pharrell cosign this year, which was nuts. Pharrell called them onto the stage at 2 shows that he did,
That's awesome.
at the same festival or at different festivals, which is insane, which is wildly insane. And Jaden Smith being like a big friend of theirs now, which I love. But I don't know.
It could just have something to do with like, it started out as just something like, let's just make some music and see where it goes. Much like our podcast,
we are.
Which will get
we're
as
on
big
that
as
trajectory.
We are the Brockhampton of podcasts.
Watch out, world.
We're the season 1 up till now is our American boy band is like before saturation, and we're about to hit saturation, boys. It's about to be crazy.
And people are like, there's a podcast about us that's like, oh, like, well, who do you think's like
the most improved?
On this new season of Earbuds.
Yeah, talking about the features that come in, like that Andy guy. He's really got a feature. I feel like Andy would definitely be the standout feature that we've had.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's talk about something a little bit less serious, or maybe more serious, depending on how you look at it.
Whoa.
Kanye West.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, on one side it could be like, oh no. So the oh no part that I reference is, of course, the SNL performance of I Love It that he did with Little Pump, which of course was translated to, Ben, could you give us a segment of how they sang that in the live show?
You're such a freaky girl. I love it. It's so fucking bad.
It's really cringy. Really cringy, wasn't it?
It's terrible.
He chose the song with the most swear words to do on a show where he couldn't swear.
And I feel like he does that, like he almost bombs because he knows that the performance wouldn't have been that great anyway. You know what I mean? Like in a weird spin zone way, I feel like he either makes it a shit show or it's unbelievable. Like if it looks like it's going to be middle of the road, him and Kid Cudi come out on stage, or anyone else that was there, because he had a few people there that could have jumped in for different songs, but he chose that one.
This is what confused me the most. Why didn't they do, like, why wasn't the night Adam Driver hosting and musical guest Kids See Ghosts? Why didn't they do songs
That
from
would've been
Kids
so
See
much
Ghosts?
better.
That would have been amazing.
Or if they had done like a montage where he transitions to different songs and they're all popping out of different places.
Yeah.
Like that would have been sick.
I don't know, man. Like, at this point, it seems like Kanye's just trying to pull the eyeballs towards him no matter what he's doing. So he's like, fuck it, I'll wear a Perrier bottle.
I also had the thought that people are so thirsty for Kanye, he dressed up as a water bottle. I was like, I feel like that went through his head. Like he's that corny sometimes.
He's like, they're so thirsty, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, give him some water.
And
Oh, God.
Yeah, like this, he did the thing that would get him by far the most attention. You know, it's if that is what he wanted to do, which it seems pretty clear that it is. He hit it out of the park. Everyone's seen that at this point.
and now he's a freaking meme again for different reasons now. Like
He's got to stay on top of the meme charts.
Yeah.
I think that's more important to him than the song charts at this point.
he really is a marketing master. Like the more this unravels with him, like every year I'm like, oh, maybe he'll fizzle out, and he just doesn't.
He still
it's like-
sticks around.
Part of it's because he's crazy, but there's levels to this shit. Like it's definitely calculated to a certain extent.
Yeah, and like I was having a discussion with Dom actually, Matt and Yorgos' roommate.
No roomie.
And
Not Don McLennan. I wish.
And we were just discussing whether or not like Kanye, you know, where does Kanye like lie on the scale of he's crazy versus he's completely calculated. I was like, I think he's just downright crazy, and he's just a crazy person that's completely in the spotlight, and he's just doing whatever he thinks, you know, he wants to do.
I agree.
And Dom was like, nah, man, like it just, you know, he keeps staying in the limelight. He keeps finding a way to, like, you know, stay relevant right before an album comes out, and suckers like us, keep eating it up and talking about it on a fucking podcast. Like,
And that's why I feel like he's so parallel to like Trump in a way. Like it's just by the fact that people talk about him and everything he does goes viral now, obviously because he's the president, but like, you know, he's always throwing things out whether or not people like them or not. And I feel like Kanye sees that parallel, and that's why he's in this Make America Great Again hats and doing all these speeches.
He called the Make America Great Again hat his Superman cape on the on SNL. So when I looked it up to find the video with Lil Pump, I also saw that he had a speech that SNL didn't, or NBC, who's the
NBC.
channel, they didn't air. So he talked to the crowd and he was like, most media outlets are liberal, and like instead of hating Trump, you should try to spread love and try to understand him. And he was like, I could say what you want to hear, and he takes the hat off, or I can put my Superman cape on, and he puts the hat on. Everyone's like, like you hear the people, someone's like recording it on their phone, and you hear everyone in the room going, come on, man. It's really rough. I don't know. I think to your point, Ben, what you were saying, I think Kanye is crazy, but he's surrounded himself with really calculated people, so they know how to maneuver his crazy. They're like, hey man, don't you think you should like dress up as a Perrier bottle? He's like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, oh, this is why I hired you, bro. Here's some more money.
He's like the drunk friend that you're trying to get home, and you're kind of like,
exactly.
You're not necessarily going like over his shoulder carrying him back, but you're kind of like, if he goes a little too far one way, you're like, yeah, come back more towards not the middle of the road.
Exactly. They make him think it's his idea, and he's so crazy he like adds in his little flair, and it's like, oh, perfect, that works.
yeah.
And he's like, I came up with that all by myself.
I'm a genius. I am a god.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm really excited for Good Ass Job, the Chance album that Kanye is going to be producing, and Yandhi. Which, let's talk about Yandhi for a quick sec.
That track list is pretty fire.
That was supposed to come out on SNL. Wait, the track list came out?
Yeah. Let me pull it up.
Hello, Yandhi. Yandhi will fix. Oh right, Yandhi will feature 6ix9ine and XXXTentacion. I remember this.
I hate that he's putting those guys on.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, he's just trying to be controversial. Again, that's like really what this is. But it was weird that Kim tweeted out like it's coming in November. It'll be great. Like, trust us. Blah 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 with a lot of emojis. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird.
Yeah.
It was definitely a streaming move because if you think about it, that was probably the next closest date that is a Friday and people are going to most likely be on holiday, or the most groups of people are going to be on holiday, so they'll have more time to stream it and like digest it. Yeah. However much digesting that album needs. Or
that's funny because Kanye himself did tweet. He said like it's coming out like same weekend as Lil Wayne, and we know it's gonna come number 2 to my brother Lil Wayne, but that's fine. The world needs Kanye and Wayne music at the same time. It's like, okay, this is nice. It's a nice sentiment. And then, nope, give me them streams. Like it's like,
and
really?
that could be an instance of someone doing the little, Kanye, we're actually gonna release this at a different day. And someone on his marketing team, he's like, oh, we should release it Black Friday.
Yeah. What if he names the album
or
Black
it could
Friday?
It could also be like a, like a racial thing, and the whole Trump saga dropping it on Black Friday is kind of symbolic.
That's definitely how they sold it to him, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, Kanye, stay sane, stay well, maybe take some of those meds, or maybe don't. I don't really know. Do whatever you need to figure it out. One last thing that I want to talk about before we head out is those Anderson Paak singles.
Paak is back.
Baby. Paak is back. Bubbling, and most recently, Tints. 2 amazing tracks. Manage your thoughts.
Flames all the way around. All the way around. Bubbling, I've kind of been sitting on for a while. Still a banger. Music videos, super fun. Probably one of my favorite music videos in a while.
Good.
Just Anderson being a pretty humble guy, just balling out in a music video, which is great to see. Super funny, diving into a pool full of money and like just running around with girls that are shaking their asses, like making fun of those big time music videos by making his own big time music video. Kind of meta. I like it. And then you got Tints, super good vibes, uppity vibes, California dreaming type stuff, which I'm very happy about. I didn't think it was better than Bubbling by any means, but you got Kendrick on there who gives a fun verse, not a quality Kendrick verse, but I enjoyed it. It was very palatable. It flowed well. But yeah, that's where I sit on those.
Yeah, I love both those tracks. I've listened to Bubbling and watched the music video like just a shit ton of times, like an absurd amount of times. And at this point, YouTube knows that I want to watch it. So they're like, hey, Ben, you're listening to music? Let's put this on next.
You even watched Bubbling in 5 minutes.
Oh. Yeah, I'm like, wow, I do want to watch Bubbling. Yeah, that song's fucking awesome. I love the line where he's like, took me so long to get it, I'm gonna spread it out. Like, he's just... he's just flexing, and he deserves to.
Also, the very quality line where he says, I've been broke way longer than I've been rich, so until it levels out, I'm going to take your mama to the Marriott and wear it out.
Yeah.
It's a great
so
line.
Good.
Great line.
Yeah.
And a bad visual in the music video, which is very funny.
I love that visual. It's ridiculous. And
That's so funny.
Tints was great. It feels like a continuation of what he was doing on Malibu, and Malibu is like a top 3 album for me. So I'm just really, really happy that Paak is back. I give both those songs a perfect 10. I fucking love them.
I'm very excited to see who he brings into the fold on this project as well, because he's got Dre producing. He already has Kendrick on a track, which leads me to believe that we might see some Snoop-a-Loop, or maybe some Ice Cube, who knows?
Dude.
I wouldn't be pumped for Ice Cube, but maybe he'd deliver. Who knows? But I feel like, Bay Area rappers could definitely make an appearance on this.
You just said the words Dre producing, and I got goosebumps again. And Anderson has been like vocal about, like, he's been putting Dre on his story on Instagram. He has pictures of him on his Instagram wearing the Oxnard hat. Like, I'm very excited for this album, which might be an issue because, like, I don't want to set the bar too high. But if we get more tracks like Bubbling and Tints, I am, like, very excited for this album.
And I think we will.
I think that's the way it's going. And, like, as you said, Tints sounds like Malibu, but, like, in the best way. Like, a continuation of what he did there. Where it's, like... I guess I could see it on that album. Like, if Tints was on that album, I wouldn't be very surprised. But it feels like it's a step above. It's a little evolved. It's like a little bit groovier.
I was thinking poppier, but yeah, a little more of a groove to it. I think it's gonna be more dancing music, like not
Am I
like
Wrong?
the Waters, but like something with a heavier bass and more
like,
bumpable.
More like Am I Wrong with Schoolboy Q.
Yes.
Like it was kind of that kind of. It's funny that it had Schoolboy Q on one and Kendrick on the other. The very like jammy, bouncy songs. Yeah, the Kendrick verse admittedly wasn't the best. I wasn't like enthused by it, but it's got some flows that like another rapper wouldn't bring you, like a little bit more interesting than what the average guy would do. But I think Kendrick like didn't want to overshadow the funkiness of the song with like an amazing verse that blows everyone away. I think he did that really well. So Anderson .Paak, very excited for the album. We are very excited to be back, and that is it for this episode of the Earbuds podcast. Any parting words or thoughts, Ben Danzig?
No.
Cool.
Ta-ta for now.
Hey, stay woke.
Used to go to school, hang with friends and play sports. Every single summer taking trips to the shore. And that was all gravy, but I knew I wanted more. Ain't ever seen a young rapper like one. Can't believe they asked, swear it's just a mirage. Still got my training wheels in the garage, but I ain't gonna need those, I'ma go hard. So far, I've done pretty well for myself. Couple trophies on the shelf, so what else?